Are you serious? Get some coffee. Get yourself started today. What? You know what? These Travelers mugs are really good. Stainless steel, inside and out. Good. And you can be anywhere with them. Here's what Jesus said. Jesus said in Matthew 22, verse 37, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Simple. Just love one another. But listen, folks, to the violence that's going on this May 1st, 2012. First of all, in Iraq. What? I thought the war of Iraq was over. In Iraq, violence kills seven people in Iraq on Monday, including a mother and her 3 children who were stabbed to death in their home. And an army major was killed by a bomb. Who's doing this? Radical Islamic terrorists continue the killing. A mother of her 13-year-old boy and girls aged 5 and 7 were killed in Baghdad in the neighborhood there. It just gets, again, the inconsistency. The Sunni Muslim mother and her 3 children were shot in the head in an apparent sectarian attack of violence there in Iraq after twin bombings killed 8 people, mostly Shiites. So what happens is a bomb goes off in the Shiite neighborhood, kills a bunch of Shiite Muslims. They go over and shoot a mother and her children in the head and stab people and kill people over on the Muslim Sunni side. And the violence continues. But it doesn't stop there, folks. Oh, no. Then you go to Yemen. 18 Al-Qaeda militants killed in Yemen in fighting there. Fierce clashes kill at least 21 people, including 18 Al-Qaeda militants on Monday near the southern Yemen town of Loder. The other dead were an army officer and 2 tribal volunteers aiding the military. The source says that Al-Qaeda militants were forced to retreat, and of course they are resisting. Witnesses said the fighting lasted for several hours, and that the Air Force planes had bombed militant positions in the mountains southeast of Loder. Now these are the military of Yemen killing Al-Qaeda fighting back against the country of Yemen. Of course, Yemen just got rid of their president, Ali Saleh. He had to go away. So the Arab Spring, you want to call it the Arab Spring, it's really Daniel chapter 11, 41 through 45. The Antichrist spirit begins to move in the Middle East, and many nations shall be overthrown, including Egypt and Libya and the steppes of Ethiopia. But it does say that Jordan will not be hurt, the children of Ammon. And it talks about other things happening, which we're seeing happening right now. This is Bible prophecy. It's Daniel 11, 41 through 45. Well, Jesus said, can't you just love one another? I believe Paul said it this way, maybe it was John. If you can't love your brother whom you have seen, how can you love God whom you have not seen? But we're not seeing that. We're seeing hate, violence. And again I say violence and destruction in the land. Oh, in Israel, by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, said that he looked set to call early elections, and Defense Minister Ehud Barak said he expected the parliament to set a date. So it looks like Benjamin Netanyahu is going to go ahead and speed up the re-election process, which they can do under their constitution. I think he's going to be re-elected to another term. He says that he believes he was destined to build the 3rd temple there on Mount Moriah, adjacent. They have the plans. I've seen the blueprints. They have the plans to build the 3rd temple adjacent to the Dome of the Rock Mosque that's on top of Mount Moriah. Such holy sites, Abraham offered his son Isaac upon top of that hill. Jesus, of course, crucified just a little bit down from the ridge. The Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended back into Siala from off that mountain. And so it becomes and of course, Solomon built the original temple right there. And King Herod built the second one also. So, I mean, this is Benjamin Netanyahu believes he's going to do it. And folks, critical when you look at Thessalonians and the Antichrist shall rise, the man of sin, the wicked one, the son of perdition, he's also known as, he'll walk into the temple of God before the worshipers of God and declare that he is God. Folks, we're living, and they could rebuild the temple. I've seen the blueprints, and they could rebuild this temple in 18 months. You got to understand, they got 12 red heifers in the stalls, if needed, for the ashes of the sacrifice. I'm just throwing it out there for you, how close we are. Just how close we really are. Violence, though, seems to be the theme, seems to be the message. Matter of fact, go to Syria with me. Twin blast targeting security buildings, kill more than 20 people in the northwest portion of the Syrian city of Idlib. A monitoring group said as the chief UN monitors presses both sides to end more than 13 months of violence, the very word he uses. The violence, a day after the arrival of the chief monitor, Major General Robert Mood, was sure to put further strain on the punitive UN-backed ceasefire that went into effect on April 12th, but has failed to take hold fully. Most of those killed in Idlib were members of the security forces, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights is saying. The blast targeted 2 security headquarters, one housing Air Force intelligence, the other military intelligence. So the people continue to push back. The violence continues to rage. The death, the destruction, the madness, the meanness, the mayhem, the misguided messages that's pouring from the mosques on many of their Friday prayers, but the death toll and the toll and the dying, and President Assad trying his best to stamp out a revolution by his people, calling for him to step away, go away. The violence continues, and Jesus said, the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these 2 commandments you can hang all the law and the prophets. Love the Lord with all your heart, your soul, your strength, and your mind. How do you do it, Pastor? By loving your neighbor as yourself. But wait, there's more going on, folks. The violence continues and the destruction. Also, I've got news breaking out of India. There's a ferry that turned over in a river called Brahmaputra River, right there in Assam, India. CNN's reporting at least 100 people are feared dead after a ferry broke in 2. The ferry broke in 2. It sank in the remote part of the northeastern part of India. The ferry was full of people, overcrowded, over 300. 90 people so far were rescued. 40 bodies were pulled and recovered, and they're still searching for the rest. Folks, that's going to be more than 100 dead. You're only talking about you've got 90 people that are alive. You got 40 bodies. That's 130. There was 300 on the boat. This number is going to be more than any 100. It's serious. We're probably looking at more like 150 or more in that range. These ferries keep tipping over in these parts of the world. They overcrowd them. It's just disaster. Violence, disasters, earthquakes in diverse places. Threats of a tsunami wave are being predicted now in the Indian Ocean. I don't know why. Seismologists are beginning to predict. There is the threat of war everywhere. The hope of many is waxing cold. The Bible says, because iniquity abounds, the love of many is waxing cold. Are you saved? Listen to what I'm telling you. This is an apocalyptic year. You need to understand, I'm not saying the world's coming to an end this year. The Mayans do in their calendar, but I'm not. I'm just saying you're living in biblical times of prophetic word being displayed before your very eyes. Give your life to Jesus. Send me a personal message. Let me help you. I want